Hello, hello, we are live. Welcome, Janelle, to the World School Summit.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited to hear how we can plan impactful travel, because I know that a lot of world schoolers are really passionate about educating their kids in a really different way and making a difference in the places that they go and treading lightly and all of that. And I don't know what you're going to talk about exactly, but I cannot wait to laugh it all up. So I'm going to head up into the background. You won't be able to see me, but if you need me, just let me know and I will pop right back up. Everybody, enjoy.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Janelle Schroy, and I'm from bravelytravel.com, but we just go by Bravely. So this is a shorter session tonight. We are going to go through in about 25 minutes. And so we're going to hit on some of the big topic areas that I want to cover about how to plan impactful travel. And as we move through, we're going to talk about both educating from a travel perspective and also from a sit down and study perspective. So for me, it's both and. So you'll see how that goes as we get into it. We'll talk about traveling for breadth, for depth, for transformation. And then we'll also talk about our approach to mentoring. So some of our ideas around what it means to get our kids connected to mentors in their passion areas. We'll also be talking about some of the weekly rhythms that we've found to be helpful in our family. And then we'll get into some long-term goals and how to plan travel. So I hope you stick with me through the 25 minutes. So just a bit about me. I am an American and I have degrees in political science and international development. My career has been as an educator, a travel journalist, a nonprofit founder, apps, film producer, the whole nine. I've got 2 TV shows on YouTube, which you can find our family does. One is called Adventure Family Journal, and the other is Journey into Wild. The first one is an educational travel show that's made for kids, and we've got over 130 episodes there now. And the other one is more you'll be probably interested in, which is called Journey into Wild. So this is a world schooling show for the whole family. We've got 8 episodes featuring different countries at 30 minutes each. So jump onto YouTube and tune in to Journey into Wild if that sounds of interest to you. And today I'm representing Bravely, which is a company that I founded fairly recently, and on it, bravelytravel.com, you'll find educational travel itineraries, book clubs, master classes, and lots of fun stuff about world schooling coaching. So I'm going to give you my family story in just 60 seconds so you've got some context for where I'm coming from. I mentioned the first part about coming from America, traveling widely as teenagers. I met my husband, Jed, in Thailand. We had our university years in different parts of the country, and then we ended up both in Washington, D.C., doing international development consulting work. And then when we were married, we decided to take off on a research and development trip. We had an idea in our mind of a nonprofit we wanted to found. That took us to 10 countries, studying best practices in different areas. And it led to us founding and leading a nonprofit organization in South Africa. So both in Johannesburg and in Cape Town, where we also had 4 kids in the middle of our 10 years there. That led us to ending up starting an educational event company, which took us to San Diego, California, where we were for a few years before we decided to forget all of the normal thoughts about we had about schooling and education. We decided that we learn best through travel, so why not take our work on the road, work from anywhere, and take our kids to a big goal of 50 countries. So we thought that would take us maybe 2-3 years. Now we're 5.5 years in, and we're just about to hit our 50th country. So it took us a little longer, but we've loved every second of it. It's been a lot of fun, COVID and all. So now, as far as work, I lead Bravely as a travel consultant and world schooling coach, and my husband Jed leads a company called Elevate, which is philanthropic advisory firm. So that's our family story in just 60 seconds for context. So tonight I'm talking about impactful travel. What is impactful travel? So this is travel that sticks with us long term, and it uniquely shapes the way that we view the world. So it's one thing to travel and to stay at a resort. It's another thing to just have sort of lazy time, resting and being in nature. And those can be wonderful, restful experiences. I'm more interested in this conversation about talking about travel that is less about rest and more about impact. So it changes how we see the world, our personal beliefs, our life choices, and causes us to want to influence others or affect change in some ways. And when I say we, I'm not just talking about me and my husband. I'm not just talking about my children. Impactful travel as a family for us means the whole family is being impacted in some way. So if we zoom way back in history and we look at ancient Greece and ancient Rome, I've spent a lot of time in Greece and Italy, and I have so much respect for those ancient thinkers. In Greece, the philosophers Plato and Aristotle really emphasized a broad context for learning. They felt like it was essential for developing both virtue and wisdom. And similarly in Rome, the Roman thinkers said that education has to cultivate both the mind and your moral character. So this is my starting point when I think about what is education and what do I want for my kids. So from those ancient perspectives, they would call that classical education, right? They would talk about the social sciences, humanities, natural sciences, mathematics and technology, fine arts. And to wrap it all up, they would say interdisciplinary studies. Now, I love this term because this gives us a whole approach to thinking about all of these things, not as silos, but as very, very much interconnected. And so when I want to think about educating my kids in a world schooling approach, I want to pull from these great thinkers who proved over the course of time that classical education really worked. Now, this is before all of the industrial age, before all of this stuff that became about making people into factory workers and putting them through a system. This is a very different kind of education that we're talking about. So again, broad, interdisciplinary, critically thinking, and most importantly, in my opinion, cultivating individuals who are capable of adapting to different fields and taking on a wide range of challenges. So when I say that definition, I think there's probably very few people out there who would say, no, I don't want that for my kids. Yes, of course, we all want that for our children. So if we just replace classical education with the world schooling, we would see that we have a very similar structure. Every time we're traveling and we're educating our kids in the middle of it, we're hitting on all 6 of these areas. And we're doing it in what I think is the most effective way because it's interdisciplinary. If I'm taking my kids to Greece or to Italy or to England or to Argentina, they're getting all of these different areas, even if I never have them sit down and fill out a worksheet or do something online. Just by being in that place and being intentional with my time, I'm getting this classical education happening. So if I were to say what is a world schooling education, in my opinion, it's something that we as a community value, this immersive place-based learning that leads to this cultural understanding. And it helps children to be able to think in this very nuanced way because they have context for where they've been and how that fits together with other locations. We are always talking about celebrating problem solving, courage, curiosity. And so when I think about my kids traveling and world schooling, there's 2 things that we're doing at the same time. We're learning through travel. We want knowledge, but we also want knowledge to happen in context. So where are we? We're also complementing that with study. Now, I come from a background of education and international development. And so I have to say that there are some subjects that are progressive, and you have to study in order to have mastery over them. But what I've found in the 50 countries that I've been to with my 4 kids and schooling them through it is that study and that mastery paired together through immersive travel, it happens very quickly. So they don't have to work so hard. It doesn't have to be so difficult because we've got both things happening at the same time. If it sounds scary to you somehow, just consider this quote. When we have a change of pace or a change of place, we experience a change of perspective. So just by fact of your kids traveling, they're learning and education is happening. Now, over at my company in Bravely, we talk about cultivating the 5 attributes in our kids. So even if we're not sure if they did any math or they got anything out of the science museum or if they picked up anything on the nature hike, if we can, at the end of the day, as parents, ask these questions, did my child experience and explore curiosity today? Yes, then education is happening. Did my child connect people, places, and ideas in what they experienced today? Yes, And the same goes with creativity, cultivating courage, and the final one is conscientiousness. So did my child grow in being more aware of themselves and how they engage with the world today? If these things are happening, education is happening. So we could just breathe easy and know that this is about intentionality, and we know that our kids are getting an amazing education if that's happening. Now, when people first come into world schooling, I always coach them to think about thematic travel. So here we're traveling at the beginning of our experience for breadth of experience. And why that's so good is it gives us this narrow focus and a clear purpose that helps us to be able to reach a specific goal. So in my case, we decided to go for 50 countries, which is maybe a very big goal, but we felt like it was strong and ambitious, and we're almost there. We don't have time to talk about all of this in this session because I planned this for an hour and I've only got 25 minutes. So another time we can dive into some of the tools that I've used around reflection, learning using bedtime as a time to reflect on what we've experienced, and also reflection projects and how we can offer our kids the opportunity to reflect on what they've learned while they're traveling. And then also to reframe that in context of other things that they've experienced in different parts of the world. And now this is where it really gets into the impactful piece, and that has to do with restoring. So I think we can all agree that the world is not as it should be in so many different ways. And so the question becomes, how can we as a family help to restore people, places, and the planet? So it's a very big question with a lot of implications, but it's so incredible to start thinking in that direction as we move through thematic travel. So just to get us thinking about some of those ideas, thematic travel, what does that mean? What are some of the categories? So I've put a few here, but we could do many slides of theme ideas. So world landmarks, modern marvels, UNESCO World Heritage Sites, 7 wonders or natural wonders of the world, 2 different categories there, cultural events, sports events, historic cities and capital cities, and my favorite, biodiversity hotspots and unique biomes. So my family's been on this journey for the past year and a half, and it has been incredible to immerse into nature, into unique biomes like the Sahara Desert, the Nile River, the cloud forest in Costa Rica, these kinds of incredible places. So when we travel around a theme, we start to very easily make connections between the different things that we've experienced. Another way to travel is, so I'm going to skip over this bedtime reflection just for the sake of time, is skill building travel. So this is a season my family's moving into at this point, which has to do with depth of experience. So now we've got the breadth of experience. We've seen so much of the world. We've gone to Asia and Africa and the Middle East and Europe and South America, Central America. We've done most of the United States, Australia, New Zealand. We've done all of this. So we have a grand context of geography and the world and history. And now my kids are choosing specific skills that they'd really like to go deeper into. So they would like to do English horseback riding. So where are we going to do that? Of course, we're going to go to the Cotswolds in England. Or they want to do rock climbing. Now, where can we do great rock climbing? Patagonia. Let's head down to South America and do that. So you get the idea here that we're starting to move from this broad context to a more narrow focus through about depth of experience, building skills, but doing them in the context of where those skills can best be used. In this area, we are really focusing too on mastery and also on including mentors into it. So asking specific mentors to be able to let my kids shadow them for a day, do a demo video with them, or to interview them. And when we do this, when we give our kids this opportunity and we make this connection, the mentor gets to share their passion. They get publicity if we do a demo video or something for them, and they have connection to the community and to the child. So that's a win-win all around. So I teach a whole session just about this on Bravely of how do we work with mentors and be an advocate for our kids in that. So mentors do this for all kinds of reasons, but it's really a give back, and they want to make a difference in a child's life. The final way I want to talk about traveling is transformational travel. So we often think about this in, maybe it makes you think of volunteer work, service trips, whatever that might be for you, whether it's attached to a cause or maybe to a faith tradition. But for me, when I'm saying this, I'm talking about helping our children and all of us as a family become change makers in the world. So going back to that idea of something being broken in the world, and what is my role in helping to change it for the better. So this fuels in our kids' passion areas, and it helps them to have the ability to affect change for the better. And so there's some really difficult things to walk through in this, but also some wonderful joys to experience. So when we think about it, it always has to be grounded in relationships and remembering that there's a mutual learning process that's happening here. It's not just about the people we're helping, it's also about how we're being transformed. And it's both and, it's not either or. So some things that I teach about around this idea of transformational travel is to make sure that helping is not hurting. And so here are some of the ways that we do that. We make sure we understand the issues. We take an assets-based approach. We talk about the importance of relationships and long-term solutions, always looking to empower the people that we're serving rather than giving handouts, and being culturally sensitive. So whether we're talking about an issue of an environmental cleanup, or working with the homeless population, or dealing with global warming, whatever it might be, there's some really interesting things to explore there with our kids and with our own partner who we might be traveling with. Is what does this look like for us, and what does this do inside of us as it relates to our career and to our passion areas? Sorry, I know I'm going super fast. I'm just trying to fit it all in. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about a rhythm that has worked well with my kids and how we've been traveling. So we've done thematic travel, we're doing skill building travel, we've definitely done transformational travel, but also on top of all of that good travel, we're also doing our sit down studies, remembering that there are certain things that to gain mastery, we need to study them, and it happens quickly through this process of traveling at the same time. So we do a weekday rhythm where we have 2 hours, and we do 6 subjects, and we do each subject for 20 minutes with a brain break in the middle. And this has been so awesome for us. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then, and we study music. They all have an instrument they take with us. We do something around math, English language, world language, always studying different languages where we are, science and technology, and history and leadership. So that's kind of the way that I frame the sit down study piece. On Wednesdays, we do what we call Wednesday Fun Day. So this is our fun day rhythm at the moment. What my kids are doing, they get to choose all these kind of like extramurals or extracurriculars. So they have lots of fun with what they do. Handicrafts, culinary arts, dance, design, visual arts, master classes. That's all happening for us on a Wednesday. So I hope that that's helpful for you in thinking about what it could be like to do both travel and sit down study, and that as those two things go together, you get this holistic picture of what world schooling could look like. Now, in this summit, there are a lot of ways to world school. I'm just sharing with you how it's worked for us. So I hope that that's helpful for you. Last thing is when I zoom out to my kids leaving at the age of about 18, I've got a 14-year-old right now who's my oldest. And in 4 years, when she goes to college, hopefully to university, I would hope that when I look back, I would be able to see that this is what she has gained through her world schooling education under my leadership, under our leadership. That she has character, who she is on the inside, honesty, integrity, discipline, that she has competency, a practical life skills, range of expertise in her different passion areas, that she has options for her career, including entrepreneurship, and that she has compassion for the world around her, that she's living for someone other than herself, that she's got this big, broad perspective of how she can help in the world, and she's oriented to be a change maker. So this is a way that I frame what is education. And every day I'm thinking about, are we growing in character, competency? Are there career options on the horizon? And are we growing in compassion? So I don't have time to get into this last one, but this slide has to do with how you can think about planning impactful travel. So just pause the video for a moment and take a screenshot. This is how I think when I'm going to a new destination. And I have planned a a wide range of itineraries on bravelytravel.com where I've gone through this process for each destination, and those are completely free to use. So if you go there, you'll find itineraries to different countries with all of these things covered. And if you're interested in learning how to do that for yourself, I offer coaching around that to help you learn how to do that as well. So thank you so much for having me. Sorry for the very quick session, but I hope that it was packed with meaning and that you guys got something great out of it.
Oh my goodness, Janelle, so good. I know we don't have much time. I have so many questions. I think we'll need to do a follow-up at some point because we're going to do a World School podcast. So maybe you can be our guest on there and we can actually have a discussion about all of these things. Can I just ask one? Oh, you go.
I was just going to say, people can put their questions in the bottom of the video in the Facebook group, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Amazing. Thank you. That would be very helpful. I'm sure they will. I loved that last slide because for me, I'm not an educator. So when I'm like, okay, how do I even start to approach that? So I think those questions are really helpful to go like, okay, like just the prompts. Oh yeah. Yes. Now I can think of things to do. Now I can actually know what to search on Google, not just what to do in Osaka as a family. Because that's like, exactly. Do you know what I mean? It's just all the tourist stuff that comes up. And so I think this is incredible for that starting point. So thank you. Absolutely. Talk to me about the 2 hours, because we do something similar at home. How do you wrangle 4 children to get something meaningful done in 20 minutes? Because I have 4 as well. And I'm thinking about my family going like, and on holiday, they're just like in this mood.
You know what? Like, I have my timer set on my phone. So we don't always do it at the same time, but right now we just happen to be doing it kind of between 9 and 11 o'clock in the morning. So I just have my timer set for like 9 o'clock, 9:20, 9:40, and the timer just goes off. We all sit together in the room. Everyone's on iPads because we don't do workbooks and that sort of thing. It's all digital. And so, and I'm just facilitating. I'm not teaching, I'm facilitating. We've all made our choices around what tools we use. And so my kids get on and they all do their thing, and I'm available if they get stuck on something. 20 minutes later, the timer goes off. We switch to the next one, and each one of them have their own schedule, and they just follow it on their iPad.
Okay. So, how old are your children?
So I've got 7, 10, 12, and 14.
7, 10, 12, 14. Okay. Yes. All right. So it's still
all great.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Digital. Maybe that's my problem. All right.
Digital.
It is.
I have a coaching session about all the online tools that we use that have worked for us and the ones that haven't. So if anyone's interested in that, I'd love to talk to them too.
Amazing. All right, let's reconnect because I think we could have some really fun conversations and dive in so much deeper.
There's a lot to unpack. That was meant for an hour and I put it in 25 minutes. So
that was so good. It was a really good taster, and I think now people can definitely learn in. I can already see a couple of questions, but that's okay. Go.
Perfect.
I know you have to run. I know you have to run, but thank you very much for your generosity in the wisdom that you're sharing with us and from your experience. I'd love to hear lots more stories. And thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Janelle. Bye-bye.